Shut up and sit down.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Hey yo, summer check. While they do their TikTok snappy chat checking, I'll be checking out of this place. Later, homies.
I enjoy riding my bike.
I mean, if you think about it, LaCroix, it's just a virgin White Claw.
And when I'm riding, everything seems alright. Everything seems alright.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Don't have to worry.
Yeah, I don't really know what seltzer means, but it sounds rich.
No pollution. If we run out, I guess I'll still make out a ride.
You know what it tastes like? Nothing.
And I enjoy riding my bike. And when I'm riding, everything seems alright. Everything seems alright.
But you know what cured my indoor kid disease? My mother. Don't come inside till the sun's down.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During. I'm here with Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look Arkansas-tastic today.
Arkansas-tastic. And then on the other end of the tin can that's attached to the string that's attached to our computer here is Mr. Lance Hepler.
Yes, it's Sir Lancelot the Sexy out here in the land of
man.
Arkansas.
In the land of Arkansas.
What?
You just crossed over the border.
I've just crossed the border from Oklahoma to Arkansas on some backcountry road that my wife and I we were rock hounding. We aren't riding bikes. We're looking for rocks. I know it's a dumb thing I do, but it's another whatever. Keep talking. That's it. I'm in Arkansas.
All right. Lance, why don't you backpedal for us real quick in case we lose you? I don't want to miss out on any fantastic adventures from the one and only Lance Hepler. So backpedal for us, bud.
I've been traveling this whole week. I've driven from the state of Washington, and now we are all the way to Arkansas. My wife and we are on our way to Florida, but kind of taking the scenic route. I went through Idaho and Utah, did some mountain biking in Utah and Park City on one of the more famous trails there, the Mid-Mountain Trail in Park City, which was pretty fantastic. Next day, we drove down to Moab, Utah, spent a couple nights in Moab. My son is there for the summer, so we stopped and saw him and rode some trails around there, had a good time, and then we just started heading more further east. We went to New Mexico. We went to New Mexico, and then we ended up in Texas. We went to Texas because one of our team sponsors, the Tiny Vacation Homes Resort, which is outside of Texas, we actually stopped and stayed a couple nights in the tiny homes. We just left there a few hours ago.
How was that?
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's kind of an amazing little resort. There's they're still in construction zone, but they've been opening it in phases while they're in construction to kind of test what really works well for the resort. It's right on Lake Texoma, which is this giant lake right on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. And it's a huge lake they use for bass fishing and bass fishing tournaments, and then obviously houseboats and water skiing and wakeboarding and all that stuff. It's a very popular lake, although there's a lot of lakes around Texas. But this resort has 30 little tiny homes and forest huts and a gorgeous, huge pool and hot tub and a little clubhouse. And it's decorated fantastic, and it's just comfortable, and it's actually pretty inexpensive to stay there. It's in Texas. It's a long ways away, and we kind of did a detour to make it, up there to kind of take it out, because it's a property I've been involved with for a couple of years, and it's been a good thing to be involved with. So that's kind of what's happening.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, we have gone to a bunch of national parks as well. We went to Carlsbad Cavern National Park and Big Bend National Park. One in New Mexico, one in Texas. Those are pretty amazing. We've just been we've been road tripping, doing that stuff. So
Nice.
that's it.
So I assume that you just have done a ton of like open water swimming and running and things like that. Since you're
We
on the
have
lake.
gone. We did do some kayaking, but actually that was on the Colorado River in Moab. And then I've been road biking out here. I did like a 60-mile ride through the northern Texas farm country, which was fantastic. Very little traffic, but no shoulders on any roads. Very little traffic, but had a good time. So no, I have not swum one lick, Matt.
Have you snagged any KOMs on your travels?
Oh, maybe one or two along the way.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but I have. Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Leaving your mark for the locals, huh? Who's this damn Lance Hepler guy?
Who's this idiot?
Right on.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool. Sounds like you're having fun, man.
We are.
Cool. Mr. Matt, what have you been up to, dude?
I feel like I'd have to look and see exactly what I did this week, but I feel like I've been biking a little bit every day. And
come on, man, you're not going to leave with a race. You did a race.
I raced
yes.
this past weekend. Yeah, I think I did. Let's see, someone's calling us. It's probably some. Oh,
we lost Lance. I'm going to call him again.
Well, that was good timing. He finished what he had to say, but I
hold on. So let's see if we can get it back on the line here.
Yeah, I'm back. I lost it. Sorry.
We lost you.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Finish, Matt.
I was just telling Jake that I did this beaches ride that you guys are aware of, but our listeners might not be familiar. It's kind of this like flat ride that we do, and a lot of people use like a time trial bike and go hard. And I've ridden it the past 2 weeks, and I've gotten 2 flats. I mean, those roads out there are gross. They're always bad. But I brought my bike in here so that I can get it switched over to tubeless. Hopefully, going forward, I won't have as many issues.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I did race this past weekend. I did the Hag Lake Sprint Triathlon, which was super fun. I think that's like the main thing that I got out of it was that, you know, the night before I wasn't feeling that good. I was like, there's no way I'm waking up, you know, at 4 a.m. and driving all the way over there to do this race. And I just didn't even set an alarm. Woke up early, felt fine, and I was like, all right, I'm going to pack up and get on the road. And I mean, I was a little bit late, but I was fine. And the main thing that I wanted to do with the race was film a whole bunch of stuff. Like my goal for this, or at least what I hope to make, is a video that's kind of like what it's like to experience a triathlon. It's a video that I've wanted to make for a long time, but you kind of have to race with a camera. And, you know, I usually tell people, like, you know, 2 things, like, you're filming or you're doing your workout, or you're filming or you're doing your race. You're not really doing both. And so I was, you know, biking decently hard and running decently hard, but it's really hard to swim with a camera. So you're like kind of one arm swimming basically with the GoPro.
Okay.
And it was fun. It takes all the pressure off of racing. And it was just really neat to be out there. There's a lot of dialed cycling teammates out there. And we just hung out and had a good time. And our, you know, very own Evan Price was out there as well. He won the Olympic triathlon distance by a significant margin. I want to say 12 or 13 minutes ahead of whoever was second.
I believe.
Holy cow.
I believe he came out of the water a minute down.
Is that what it was?
And
he was
then he put
like 3rd or 4th or 5th or something in the water.
He put 9 minutes into everybody on the bike and about the same amount on the run. That's what I was told. So
yeah.
he kind of did his thing out there.
Yeah. He's a strong athlete, and it's interesting. It's a hilly course.
Yeah,
it's a hilly course, so it's not. I'd say Evan would be good at hills, but you know, with those TT bikes, they don't climb that great. So he seemed fine. He passed me. I was out there, and I was actually like filming, and like there were some girls behind me that were like waving at the camera. And Price came past me like really fast, and I was like, whoa, shook me up a little bit. I'm like, trying to film here, man. Trying to film Price. And for a second, I was like, sprint hard and get on his wheel.
Yeah.
Because like that's just, like you can't do that in a triathlon.
Hey, you're supposed to draft the whole time, right? Yeah.
And I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just like, oh, I should go really hard and get on his wheel and like film, you know,
Sure.
the process or whatever. But like that would be illegal, so don't do that. But it was really pretty. It was actually while we were going across the dam at Hag Lake. It's a really nice course. I mean, I think it's fun to do a hillier course like that, and the conditions were excellent. We had, you know, a lot of sun. Coming up from the lake up to the transition area, you do have to run on this kind of like rough trail to get up there. But I mean, for me, that doesn't bother me that much. And they've kind of moved this triathlon around a little bit. Like it's still out there at Hag Lake and everything like that, but they're making changes to it. And I'm sure they're going to continue to make changes to it to try to kind of improve it as much as possible and make that workflow, make it happen. But
Yeah.
you were out there on Sunday.
I was out there helping support they call it the off-road triathlon. It's more of like an Xterra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do the mountain bike part or? I know
I was asked to be a part of a relay team.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, but I didn't want to not be where I was supposed to be,
Right.
helping people out. Hindsight being 2020, I think I helped one. Well, as a matter of fact, I know I helped one person. And it was actually somebody that's on the triathlon team, and he just wanted me to take a look at his bike from what he used the day before. He wasn't even racing that day. He was
So he
just
coulda
out there
waited.
supporting. So yeah, hindsight being 2020, I absolutely could have raced, but a friend and teammate David Bonner stepped up and,
good.
and raced in my spot, and they crushed and did well.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you know, that's how it goes with those things where you're like, you know, you're playing it safe and you don't know who's going to show up, and
Yeah.
it's probably smart to play it safe that way. But yeah, so my back pedal, good, solid week of training, swam a little bit and biked a little bit. I'm not running a ton, but nothing hurt too bad on my 5K sprint triathlon stuff. So I think I ran like 7:30 pace, which is faster than I was expecting. I was expecting to run, you know, a minute or two slower per mile. So
Did your Achilles hurt?
not
At all?
not really.
Was it sore the next day? So that's good.
No. Yeah, 5K is kind of that distance that I can do safely once a week. I do have a doctor's appointment this week to look at some cartilage damage that I have in the ankle, so that's not good. But
I thought you were going to get your blade fitted for your
Blade.
your
Blade
amputation.
runner.
Yeah.
yes, that's the ultimate plan. We just got to figure out, like, do we want to go carbon fiber on that thing, or you know what? So
Absolutely.
I think
Cool.
graphene.
Love it.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Cool. I didn't race this week other than the little flogging ride, and
Yeah.
that wasn't even really much of a race. It was just more of a nice solid workout like it usually is. We did have the race paceness built into it, but it was one of those weeks where I'm still coming back from kind of a rest week, if you will. So you just don't feel like you have all of your cylinders firing exactly the right way, but still felt pretty good. And then over the weekend, that was a busy weekend. There was so much racing. We had
Yeah.
people racing the High Cascade 100,
Wow.
which is a 100-mile mountain bike down in the Cascades, which is just absolutely bonkers tough. I think we had Chris Surratt and Kim Catherine down there, and I'm not sure who else went and did that, so there was that. We had the Hag Lake Triathlon and the Hag Lake Off-Road Triathlon that was running, and let's see here, we had the Hammer Crit that I went down and supported. So that's the reason why I wasn't out there on Saturday for the triathlon, is I was providing support and doing all the wheel stuff for the crit. So we had a
You
bunch
were
of
busy.
bunch
That's
of teammates
crazy.
there, and I was out there racing, and I wasn't out there racing. I was out there watching everybody race. I had people coming to me all day long for help, which was pretty cool. But I watched, I think it was like 15 races, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
There was
wow.
a lot of racing going on. I was out there from about 6:15 in the morning till about 6 o'clock at night. So it ended up being quite a long day. But man, was that fun to watch. That was some good racing. So there was
Nice.
a lot of teammates that did really well. Notably was Ian Gibson. He won the 60 plus category, which he was
Good for Ian.
still in there mixing it up, even with it was an open class. It was a 3-4 class, but
He needs to do the state championship. I mean, he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
going to win everything that he does. So
yeah, he's just that stinking strong.
it's going to be fun to watch.
And then we had Laura Mullen. She took 4th in the women's P12, which was fun to watch. That was a strong group of women out there. And you know what? A big shout out and kudos. My hat goes off to the POA guys, the Pacific Office Automation guys who
Yeah.
put that on. They had such a massive amount of funding that they raised for this that they were able to not only give a ton of money to some good charities, but the preem laps. Oh my gosh.
that's cool.
I lost track of how many times there was a $50 preem lap. It was just one after another, and there was probably 2, 3, 4 times that they had $100 preem laps, and there was a bunch of them for like anywhere from $5 to $25 all day long. They were just giving out money, and I believe the woman who won the women's P12 class, she Justin Preems alone, I believe, walked away with $300. Not to mention what she took away for the purse, which was like another, I think, $250 or $300. So she did quite well, and they were paying like way deep into the field. I think they were paying down to like 10th place, if I'm not mistaken. You were almost getting your money back down to like 8th or 10th place, which is pretty fantastic.
That's cool.
So good job on them. They had really good attendance, which was fantastic. I think they had about 300 registrations, or pretty darn close to that. And it's just good to see that for road racing, because everybody keeps saying road's dead, but it's not dead yet. It's fun to see racing still alive and well. Good job, POA guys. And then
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then I went out to do the support for the off-road triathlon, which wasn't really much support. It was more like cheering teammates on, taking some pictures. And then when it was all done, I went ahead and got on the bike and did a couple laps around Hag Lake, because I'd never ridden down there. And that is stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
It was funny because after I was done, I wanted to go out there and I wanted to put in a little bit of an effort. I only had an hour, so I'm like, I'm just going to go around this lake twice, get a feel for it, find out what it's all about, find out how hard I can go, what kind of a speed I can hold, and then just kind of, have a workout. So it was fun when I was done. I went back and looked, and I had good normalized power. I think my average speed for the hour for the 2 laps that I did was it was 22.4 miles an hour, which is pretty decent for a road bike. And then what was the other thing? It was a fair amount of climbing, like you said. I think it's like 1,600 feet of elevation gain for the 2 laps, which is pretty decent. It was like 22 miles that I did. And then I went and looked at the leaderboard just to see like how people had done on this year, because I'm just curious, because I know that the guys at POA had done the Hag Lake World Championships out there. I'm like, how fast were they going?
Oh, yeah.
And then I went and looked at like the fastest time of the year, and that time belongs to our own Evan Price. He absolutely crushed that on his TT bike. Not to mention the fact that they added on 2 miles because they needed to make it the appropriate distance, right? So when they crossed over the bridge, they had to turn right and go down that little logging thing, and then turn around and go back up. So he had that to add in there, and his average
climbing.
Yeah, his average speed was over 25 miles an hour for that hilly course. And how many laps did they do?
2.
2?
Yeah.
So he absolutely crushed.
So it's like 24 miles or whatever.
But the fastest times, the KOMs, belong to some guys that used to do the Banana Belt Series, and they used to have the Banana Belt Series race down there.
Yeah.
So they need to bring that back, because that is that's a fantastic race course.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful back there.
10-mile lap. You can go out there and do 5, 6, 7 laps, and just, my God, that would be fantastic. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
and it's not like an easy, flat, playground. It's you're climbing a little bit here and there.
Yeah. There's some punchy little sections.
And
it's not like it's
and
terribly long.
The descents are pretty. Like, they're not hard.
Yeah,
they're not tricky descents or anything like that. So,
got to bring that back. But, cool. Let's do the Patreon drawing real quick, and let's get that out of the way. Just because, not that we want to get it out of the way, but we got to get into this TDF talk real quick in the back pedal.
Oh, we do.
Yep. So, cool. Let's do this real quick.
I wonder if any of our listeners have actually watched the tour. Are we going to be spoiling it for them? If so, it's too late, right?
Yeah. So there's only 2 things left in here, and I wonder if this one is Perry York wins again. I think he just won, if I'm not mistaken. So, but anyway, Perry, you won again.
You win.
Come on by the lab, pick up your goodies, and as a matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and just do the last 2. We're gonna say Terry Hamness, you're a winner too. We get 2 winner chicken dinners this week. So we're gonna put everybody's name back into the hat, and we'll get back to doing full drawings starting next week. So Perry York, Terry Hamness, come on by, pick out something out of the grab bag. For those who are interested in helping support the show, and if you want to become a patron, you can go to dialpodcast.com, go to the Patreon link there, pick out one that works best for you, and we'll be happy to join you to the Patreon family with Dial Podcast. Cool beans. Nice. Let's move on to that whole thing where that guy, Matt, do you know if he's around, or is
I don't know if he's around.
I don't know.
Champ here.
Is Champ here? Champ on the phone?
Here. Champ is in Arkansas at the moment, sitting in front of an abandoned church, because there looks like there's an abandoned church on every corner in Arkansas. Yes, lots of great racing. We did wrap up the Tour de France this last week. Pretty amazing week of racing. Tadej Pogačar actually was able to hold it off, and he won by a little over 5 minutes. He didn't really have any trouble in the last week, which was pretty amazing. He didn't have to go too hard on the final time trial, whatnot. But that really wasn't the story of the Tour, even though it was Tadej Pogačar's second victory in the Tour de France in a row, even though he's only 22 years old. But the story was Mark Cavendish going to break the record for most wins in the Tour de France at 35. And it was all set up that he might be able to do it on the Champs-Élysées on the last day of the tour. But our man, Wout van Aert, managed to pull off the win on the last stage, which was pretty stinking amazing to watch.
Wout.
The last stage and the stage before. I mean, it's just a ridiculous story.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable that he won the mountain stage on Mount Ventoux. He won the time trial on the second to last day of the tour, and then he wins a sprint stage on the final day of the tour. I mean, what can't Wout van Aert do? It's just amazing.
It's crazy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time that somebody won a hill, like a mountain stage, if you will, a time trial and a sprint stage was Bernard Hinault. Am I? I think that's correct, if I'm not mistaken. And that was back in the 50s?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, I think that was the last time that somebody's done
Maybe
those
60s.
three types of.
Was it 60s?
Amazing.
Long time ago. Now, here's a question
Yeah.
for you guys. Do you think MVP could do the same thing? Do you think he has the time-trying prowess to be able to do the same thing?
It looks like it.
Well,
he's
never really time trialed, so he seems like he can do whatever he wants on a bike. So with a little bit of form and effort and a little bit of dialing in his time trial position, why not? Why couldn't he do that?
Yep. Yeah, I know that Wout worked on that quite a bit and has been working on that quite a bit, so he's really gotten that position nailed down. And you just have to think that for Van der Poel, he could do the same thing. I mean, that guy's got everything up his sleeve. Throw the kitchen sink at you.
Do you think Wout would ever go for like a GC?
I don't know. I mean, you never want to say never. It just doesn't seem like he could quite hang
In the like multiple mountain stages? I don't know.
Multiple mountain stages, yeah.
It's so
but I don't
weird.
know. Yeah.
It's so weird to like think like maybe he could be one of the best cyclocross riders and best, Grand Tour riders. I mean, he already is. He's already there. He's one of the best Grand Tour riders. It's just such a weird thing to think he'd be at that level of GC.
Yeah. Here's another question for you, too. There's a lot of scuttlebutt about, Tadej Pogacar being under the influence of some sort of assistance, if you will. People have talked about everything from having mechanical advantages in his rear hub and running some sort of a motor to, something suspicious or something's just not right, that he's maybe using something that they're not able to test for. I want to go out on the road of, like, I'm innocent until proven guilty. I don't think that, he's using it. And I think that he's just one of those generational guys that's once in a generation. Like, he's just that good. But people are having all kinds of speculation about him. I haven't heard a single word about Wout. And I think that what he did, in my opinion, is probably even more impressive than what
weird
Pogacar did. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think that everyone, honestly, like, we should be suspicious of everyone in the peloton. Sport's got a history, man. Sport's got a bad history, and when you see weird performances, whether it's climbing Mount Ventoux or sprinting in Paris that just like don't add up, that we should be suspicious. I think that's okay, and it's I think people are fine to speculate a little bit. Honestly, like, anytime a world record is set on the track and field stuff, like, people should be like, well, we don't know for sure if it's going to be clean. Like, you broke a world record. The world records in the past we know have not been clean. And so you're still breaking those times. Like, what do we do? Like, we can hope that they're clean, but we just should always be suspicious.
Yeah.
We are suspicious because of the history that we have seen.
So. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's just assume and hope that everybody's clean.
Sure.
And then one more question. You guys get to start your own pro Grand Tour team. You guys get to pick your first pick, and it could be either to have on your team. They're both free agents, just hypothetically. Are you going to take Wout, or are you going to take Van der Poel? Who's going to be on your team?
Well, I think you take Wout. He's got proven record. Not that, I mean, Van der Poel was in yellow for what, like 4 days or something like that, or more? I don't remember.
A week, if I'm not mistaken.
It was
5 or 6
significant,
days.
But yet still, it still seems like Wout's the better pick.
Think so? How about you, Lance?
So.
I'm going to say Van der Poel because Matt picked Wout.
Yeah, there you go. That's the correct answer.
I'm going to take Chris Froome. Yeah, just kidding. Oh, crazy. And then another question for you: does Cavendish break the record in 2022? Does he go to Does he go to TDF with everybody having their full stacked rosters, and does he break the record? Does he win a stage in 2022?
Dude, I think it was lightning in a bottle this year. I don't think it happened. Yeah.
On the last podcast, I was like, no and no. And now I'm changing my mind. I'm changing it, and I'm going to say yes. All he has to do is pick up one more. It just seems like a possibility, and if I think the team will set him up to do it. So
I don't even think he's going to be on that team next year.
He might not.
He might not.
I honestly don't. I don't think that
this year I would have said he's not going to make the team.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you think about it, if you put him on any other team that's not named Ineos or Jumbo Visma or done a quick step, I don't think he wins any of those stages. His lead-out train was that good.
His lead-out train was great. I just think it's like I've constantly doubted him prior to this year, and I would think like, no, he's not going to make the team. Oh, he snuck on there. He's not going to do anything. He's going to crash out, or he's going to, who knows what, but he's not going to win a stage. Then he wins the stage. Then he wins the next one. Then he's in green. It's just like, at what point are you like, yeah, okay, well, maybe he can do this again, and maybe he can do it next year, and maybe he can get the record. It's like all signs point to yes from this particular Grand Tour that he just finished up. So I'm going to say yes this time instead of no. So we'll see.
I'm going to say no. How about you, Lance? I think he's done.
I said no.
You said no?
Get lightning in the bottle.
Yeah, I just think there's too many other big-name sprinters that weren't there this year. I don't think that he's going to be on the same team, and I just don't think he's going to have the same opportunity.
You don't think he's going to be on the same team?
I don't. I think that his contract was the minimum. That was what they paid him, the UCI minimum, and then I think that he ended up bringing a sponsor to the team, if I'm not mistaken, and then that was able to supplement some of his income,
which he could do again.
Yeah, done a quick step only paid him like $37,000 or $38,000 to join the team, and that's what the minimum is for the UCI. And then he brought sponsors with him that helped supplement the balance of what he wanted,
which he could easily do again. I think Specialized really likes him. I think that there's other companies that are super sold on Cav, and he. If you're going to bring a sponsor in and you're the green jersey holder, why would you say no to that?
Yeah. How much money do you think was exchanged between Eddie Merckx and Wout van Aert for that last stage?
It was just a Belgian beer.
Belgian beer?
It was a gentleman's bet between the two of them, probably.
Yeah. And then everybody here on the podcast, including Evan, was a part of a little fantasy pool that we put together. And Mr. Matt LeGrand is the grand victor of the four of us.
Well,
you came in like
second,
second overall.
Ended up second. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah.
I think you really do have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like I kind of put it on cruise control for a while, and I think that was a mistake. But it was fun to see like, okay, well, manage your team or whatever it is. And
there was 3 races where I forgot to go select the towards the end that I forgot to select the stage winner.
Yeah.
And I had the stage winner on my team. I'm like, dang it, that would have been double points. I could have beat Matt, but Matt did a good job. So congratulations, Matt.
Thank you. What do I win?
Congrats.
Here, you win this. Oh, you.
I win the Polar raspberry lime seltzer water. Thank you. Here,
the one that you brought.
Does that sound like victory?
There you go. Look at that. Fizz pop. Right on. Cool. Any other parting thoughts on the TDF?
It was so great to watch. I loved waking up every morning and watching it. I am so sad that it's over. And, yes, you can look forward to, the next Grand Tour. I think the Tour de France is special compared to the Vuelta or the Giro. It's just, I'm biased. I think once a year I just dive in and really watch it for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do that in
I'm definitely going to miss it too. It's the only one that I will make a conscious effort to go down and watch. I should watch more. The other ones I end up just kind of catching a stage here and there, and I'll do more reading about it and watching the highlight reels just to kind of see how everybody's doing. But do you guys want to make a pick for next year? Do you think Pogačar three-peats?
That's the safe bet. I don't see why not.
It's hard to bet against him right now, that's for sure.
Sure is. What about Vingegaard, though? With Jumbo Visma, and if Roglic come back and let those two guys just kind of have at it and be like co-support both of them, and whichever one's doing better or not crashing out, that could be interesting to see how Jumbo Visma does against that.
I don't know. I think Vingegaard might have been part of circumstance as well. I mean, how how many podium guys have you seen in the last decade that make the podium one year and, don't ever even get close again?
I
That's
agree with
true.
that.
It's true, but he's young and he's got talent. So I don't know. There's a lot of young talent out there that's going to be fun to watch. We'll see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Cool. All right, let's jump into our topic for the day. I think we've done everything. Yeah, we've done everything. It's all here. Our topic for today, we've got a kind of a world-class one sitting across the table from me right now. We're going to talk about product reviews and how it applies to the world of cycling and triathlon and gadgetry that falls in those two arenas. I really wanted to kind of go through like the whole process of like what goes into it. I want to go through the process of how you can find some good reviewers, and really what makes a good review and what we would look for so that we're making good, solid, informed educational decisions for the stuff that we're buying. Because a lot of stuff can get kind of pricey, and we're wanting to go out there and we're wanting to kind of make sure that we're making the right decision. So I want to run through this and see what everybody has to say. Matt's been doing this for a long time now, and he's gotten really good at it. He's got it down to a science, and he's, I think you're what, over 8,000 people? You're creeping up on 10,000 subs for your channel.
I think I'll get to 10,000 before the end of the year.
But when people talk about triathlon reviews, you're in that conversation now when people go and find stuff on YouTube. And I think that's fantastic.
There are some great reviewers out there of products. I mean, the easy one to think of is, DC Rainmaker. And he does such a thorough, good job with his reviews. It's definitely something that I didn't really see myself doing, but it was definitely also something that I didn't want to avoid. So also the other thing is, the people are gravitating towards those on the channel, and so it just kind of self-perpetuates.
Sure.
So
yeah, it's fun and you're good at it too.
And then the other thing is like when companies finally start to send you products, then you feel obligated to review them. And then when some other company sees that you've reviewed them, then you get more products, and so that perpetuates itself as well. So it is super fun, and even getting the products is fun and stuff like that. And so it's great, but there are other things besides triathlon too. There's like all these camera reviews that you and I watch.
Yes,
a lot of times, and Lance is probably watching all kinds of channels on like where to mountain bike in Arkansas.
Yep. And mustache wax.
And rock hounding.
Wax and rock hounding. Yes.
Rock hounding.
Absolutely. There's probably like a science to that.
Yep. So let's go through this first process first, if that makes sense. How do you guys go about finding good places for good reviews and good reviewers? Yeah. How do you guys kind of break that down? I know that it can be a little bit of a daunting process, especially in the land of YouTube, because you go out there and you type something in, and there is just a myriad of different reviewers and channels out there. How do you go and like kind of drill it down and find some good ones?
Well, I think that first of all, before you get to YouTube, there's this whole concept of like, there's magazines that are going to have, product reviews, and there's, you don't really see it as much on like television anymore, but there's websites obviously that are going to do product reviews, and those are a fantastic place to find options as well. But I do think that YouTube is the best spot, even better than, a well-published magazine. I still find those they typically are tainted by advertising and things like that. And I just find them not to be as good of quality as some of the stuff that's on YouTube. Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to trust too, right? Where if you know someone like DC Rainmaker Ray, like you just know like he is trustworthy. Like he's going to do a more thorough job than any magazine, and it's like, well, that's the spot. This is, and he does have a website as well as YouTube, so you can take your pick there on whether you'd like to read it or watch it. Sure. And so it's a good option that way.
It is. Where do you generally go, Lance? Do you start on the interwebs and start reading stuff first, or you just go straight to YouTube? What's your protocol?
I generally go straight to YouTube, and I type in like like the product I want to look for with the word review usually. Yeah. That and then usually find 15 different options. I watch the first 15 seconds to see if it's going to be funny and not just dull. And that's kind of the route I go. I don't I have gone to DC Rainmaker's website a few times to dig in a little bit deeper because, man, his reviews are so thorough. If you really want to dig into it, there's too much information.
Yeah.
But if you really want to dig into it, you have that option with him. But other products and other things, no, I don't really go anywhere else but YouTube.
The other thing that we probably all do is we listen to our friends who are talking on Facebook or social media or just in person on rides. How do you like that thing?
Yeah.
How do you, oh, those are the Pirelli tires. Like, I haven't seen any reviews on those tires.
Yeah.
I've gone, are you guys making one? Did you already make one?
It's just about done.
Okay.
Just sore subject.
Sore subject. So I've seen 0 reviews on these tires, but I'm going to put them on my wheels.
Sure.
Like today, hopefully.
Yep.
Because you guys, I trust your judgment. And this is basically the in-person friend of saying, like, these tires are fine. They're good. They're solid.
Yeah.
And, and also that's what we can get, right? I mean, tires are scarce these days. And so when you don't know, like, we know the Continentals are solid. We know that the Vittorias, they're questionable, in my opinion. But, like, so those are kind of like the brands that I know. And so this is something different, and I'm just trusting my friend's judgment.
There you go. So going back to YouTube, will you guys judge the quality of the review or the reviewer based on the quality of the production that they make? Like, if they're really putting a lot of time, energy, and effort into making sure that it's well produced, like it looks good, it sounds good, it flows well, it's got all the graphics, do you judge based on that at all? Or because I guess Rainmaker doesn't, or DC Rainmaker doesn't put a whole ton of stuff in there. I mean, there's still work done. It's still edited well. But
yeah, I think
like if I look at your channel, like I automatically kind of like elevate you just a little bit because you're not only putting out the product, but you want to make sure that your information is well received and it's well liked and it looks pretty and it's going to have good content. You're kind of like checking just a couple extra boxes that a lot of other people don't do.
I think that you don't need to do all of those other items. I think what if you look at DC Rainmaker's channel, like the quality's there, in my opinion. Like
I'm not saying he's poor, but yeah,
he's not filming it like a handheld GoPro or on his phone, which and that stuff is also okay to do. Like it's content over quality 10 or 100 times fold. I think when you do see something that's of nicer quality, it's just like that nicer little piece of thing, like it's in the back of your head where like, oh, this is nice. Someone put some effort into this. I definitely notice it because we're looking at camera stuff all the time, or we're looking at reviews or YouTube things, and we're critical of this, and we're trying to make quality content. And so we pick up on those little things, whereas I think other people don't care. And it's 99% of the time they're like, I'm trying to figure out this one thing, and you're just getting in my way, and I just want to get that information. And so, like, if you can actually look at YouTube stats and you can see the drop-off rates, and mine just plummet the first 15 seconds or whatever it is because I don't get to the content that quickly. And I think other channels do a better job, and I don't think it's necessarily about, filming quality and camera quality and the cinematics of the video as much as it is about the content. And so, I think, if you're looking for review, you're not as much worried about quality as the content itself because you are so curious about just that bit of information, whether it's, those tires. Like if the quality is not great, that's okay. I just want to be, I want to trust the person that's giving me the information, and I want to hear about his experience with that particular product. And so, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that quality is going to be that much of a determining factor.
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
Does it add to the likelihood of you wanting to come back to that person for more information, or adding to the credibility of the information that they're providing you?
I think people are good at reading. I think two things. I think definitely if a piece of video is like well produced and there's a lot of quality there, it does lend itself to like, okay, this person knows what they're doing, which, maybe they know what they're doing with cameras. They don't have any idea what they're doing with the bike or whatever triathlon, whatever piece of product they're reviewing. So sometimes that there's that little bit of transfer where it's like, this looks nice. He must know what he's talking about. But, that's pretty subtle. If we know someone and we're like, this is Wout van Aert and he's talking about, tire pressure,
Yeah.
you're gonna listen to that guy. You
Yeah.
don't care about the quality
Yeah.
of the, he can be doing it with his cell phone. You're gonna be like, well, he kind of knows what he's talking about, when it comes to like tire selection and things like that, because we know he has the experience. And so when you pick someone new through YouTube search or whatever it is, you're still trying to figure out if this guy is worth trusting.
Yeah.
I think.
So for me, part of it is like, if somebody's putting in that extra bit of effort, it means that they care. They're just trying to, this is something that they're trying to make a little bit more legitimate. They're trying to make it sustainable. They're trying to make it be something that maybe scratches an itch of the creativity, but it adds a little bit more depth to like the quality of the work that they're putting out there. And it just seems to me like, all right, this person is a little bit more enthusiastic about what they're doing. They're a little bit more driven to make sure that not only they're providing a good look and feel, but good information as well. It just adds another layer of like credibility to me. Now, I don't want to say that takes away. I just think it adds to.
Yeah.
Now, someone like Dylan Johnson, he's been on the podcast before.
Yeah, he's great.
His podcast is just a basic light in his iPhone. And he may be talking about doing some other stuff, but he's not putting a ton of production value into his stuff, but he's providing great content. And so it's not about necessarily how good a quality it is.
Yeah.
It could be infinitely better. Like if Matt got his hands on the whole setup and taught him a few things and make sure he had all the equipment, it'd be a whole different like ball game.
Yeah.
But
Someday I'll go like over and visit Dylan and be like, all right, let's just get you a camera, get you set up, and just like get it all set up. And be like, all you have to do is press record here and edit it the same way you want to edit it. But like, it's more work for him for sure to do it that way. I do think it would increase the quality, and I think that would help a little bit. But I think he's doing great just the way he's doing it, and so it's almost like stick with what's working, and don't, your workflow is so important, and adding all of these extra steps to your workflow is potentially going to keep you from putting out as much content, which I think again, content is king. And I just really like his channel. I think he does a great job. So
gotcha. Okay, so what about the reviewer or the person that's basically just regurgitating everything that's on the manufacturer's website about said product, and they're just basically reading it to you? I see that quite often, and they're not really giving you like their 2 cents. It's more of like, watch my video, give me some subscribes, give me some thumbs up, likes, and hopefully I can monetize this thing and make a few bucks. Do you guys run across that pretty often?
I think
there's 5 or 6 different reviewers that do that kind of thing in the cycling industry. And those are the guys I get through like 30 or 40 seconds of, and I exit out. I move on because I want people's personal experience. I want, okay, this is what I expected that I was going to get from this product, and this is how it actually worked for me.
Yep.
And if they make it funny or amusing, and to me the production value certainly helps, but it's not pertinent to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like,
although with a lot of different products, if you can't film properly, you can't quite see what you're trying to see anyway, and that's what I wanted to.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So how about there's a lot of people that'll go on and they'll maybe watch a bunch of other reviewers, and maybe they don't know too much about the product, but they're basically just watching other channels, and then they're going out there and saying the same thing that everybody else said. Do you guys run across that often as well? Do you guys
I've seen that on some camera shows and things like that. I think it's okay, as long as they're giving some of their own opinion about something that they haven't even used.
Yeah.
But I think that's hard because, it's when you're reviewing a product, you really do want to have like a hands-on experience and your own real views, not just other people's kind of concepts of it. But I don't know. It's such a crowded landscape that I think people are just trying to get information out there to get those views. And you can, in some ways, it's kind of a good thing. Like you see these people that are, going after views and things like that, but like, that their channel is going to be around for a little bit. They're going to make content for a while.
Yeah.
They're not just like hand holding their phone and they're like, this is this one thing that I am going to talk about. And then you'll never see another video from this person again because that's not what they do. This is just something that they threw up.
Yep.
And so part of me kind of respects the game of trying to get views because it's part of YouTube.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah, if you're going to put all that time, energy, and effort into it, and I think a lot of people have no idea how much work actually goes into producing just a single 10-minute video.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's 10 minutes. Yeah, you just
You're like, I spent a week on this.
Yeah. I maybe put 20 hours into that thing, no problem. And that's legit. And that's on top of for Matt, that's on top of a full-time job. It's like, right, where are you gonna? What part of your life are you gonna take that away from? So
yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's not a smart decision.
Yeah. You came out with a video that I thought was pretty good, and it was You Can't Trust Matt LeGrand.
Yeah.
So that kind of just falls into the vein of people that are not disclosing that reviews are paid for or sponsored. And
I have such a hard time with this. It's really something that I struggle with, where I mean, I would say 95% of the videos that I watch, there's not much disclosure of this is a sponsored ad. That, you're killing me here.
Yeah.
It's and they might even, they're not trying to hide it necessarily, but YouTube gives you the tools to say this is a paid for sponsored promotion.
Yeah.
And you should use those tools so that it's very clear to everyone. I just think it's misleading. And I think everyone is almost on board for being yeah, it's misleading, but whatever. This is just how you advertise these days. And I just think that's crap. We can do better. Let's do better.
Mm-hmm.
I made a video a while back, maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And the whole point of it was here's my story. Here's what you can expect from my videos. Not that I'm better than anyone else, because there are some people that do a lot better at this than I do. But when companies send me products, I want to make sure people know this is, of value. This is something of value that was given to me with the hopes of a review. They're not giving it to me because they like me. They're giving it to me because they want me to review it, and they want me to basically sell their products for them. That's what they want.
Yep.
That's not what and I basically have a standard message that I send them. I do not guarantee that I will review your product. I definitely do not guarantee that I will do a positive review for your product. It may, and so they're taking a chance if they send me something.
Yeah.
Which I think is very hard for them. A lot of times they'll be no, everyone we do this with will sign a contract and say that they will. I'm not joking. We expect a contract to be signed that you will do a positive review in return for getting this product.
Seriously?
Yeah. I should show you some messages that I get. It's I don't do that. You don't have to send me the product. You're asking me to review the product.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sign a contract.
How many people just pull the plug at that point?
A lot of them. And I will say that it's not necessarily, I feel like this is weird because every platform is different, but I do feel like the people on YouTube are a little bit better off at and I think it's probably just harder to build an audience on YouTube, but it's if you've got 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you're probably not taking junk from someone and signing a contract and just saying whatever they want you to say about it. Some of them probably are, but I think the majority of the people, it's very easy to see those people that are doing that, and you're just not going to subscribe to them.
Yeah.
And so they don't have this huge following, whereas Instagram is different. Instagram, I think that you have these influencers on Instagram that are I take this product and I get my pictures with it, and that's part of what I do for my job.
Yeah.
And there's a contractual agreement on how many photos are going to be taken, and you have to write this blurb. It's kind of similar to what they want, and so that's misleading for sure if you don't make sure you're clear telling people that it's an advertisement.
Interesting to see what some countries are doing with that right now in terms of having to disclose that that's a sponsored ad that people are paying you to post, and because you're an influencer, people need to know that.
In England, it's stricter than in the U.S. And we have disclosure rules in the U.S. It's just not that tightly enforced, and it's bad in television too, right? You don't realize it, but when someone's drinking their polar seltzer water on the soap opera on TV, that's paid for.
Yep. That's
been placed there. And sometimes if you read the credits of a TV show or a movie or something like that, they'll put a small blurb in there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no beginning of the video Polar sent us this to be whatever. It's all subtly snuck in there.
Yep.
And I think that, I don't know, and my belief is that we can do better. I don't know how to exactly do it on the television side of things, but I think on the YouTube side of things, I put that disclosure at the beginning of the videos, which I think is also another big hit that you take, right? Where you're losing viewers because they don't want to sit through this disclosure piece. But I do think it's important that they know that this product was sent to me or whatever the deal is. So,
Gotcha. Integrity is it's not always out there, and there's a lot of people that are just looking to make the almighty dollar. So
most of the people that we follow, 100% trustworthy. And it's interesting because I get a lot of comments on my videos about, oh, DC Rainmaker is just paid by Garmin to talk about blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he is at all. Like, I mean, I don't know Ray personally, but I mean, I feel like I know him well enough to know he's not taking money from any of those companies. I would ask him if he has done like a paid speaking position or, like if he goes to a conference and speaks about Garmin at the Garmin conference, if he gets paid for that, that would be like one of those spots that would maybe want some disclosure pieces there. But he's not in the pocket of Wahoo or Garmin or Apple or whatever. A lot of people will ask me that.
How many times have you been accused of that?
Not that many, actually. The people that take the time to comment will say things bad about the other channels, and they're like, "You're not in the pocket of Apple." Like Des Fit isn't. Des Fit is sponsored by Apple. I'm like, he's not. I promise, he's not. And they'll say other things that aren't that nice about other channels, but they're typically nice about mine. That being said, like, they're wrong about those other channels. Like, those people are just stand-up individuals. They're better than I am as far as like disclosures and things like that. So they do a good job.
Cool. So what are a couple things, like a couple red flags that automatically cause you to steer away from a review if you're watching a review or if you're checking out some sort of new YouTuber that's going to be reviewing products?
That whole concept of, usually it's like that they have something to sell, right? So all of us do, right? Like, for me, started the YouTube channel with the goal of selling people on the sport of triathlon.
Yeah.
We all are trying to sell something.
Yep.
And so, whether maybe you're just selling yourself, right? Like, you want more subscribers, and that's great too. But like, so, establishing like, is this person just trying to sell me a product, or are they going to give me a good review? And I think that whole feeling out that process is tricky. And, I think it's not that hard. I just don't think I follow anyone or subscribe to anyone that I think is really trying to sell too much stuff. And if they are, I think like I'm like, okay, this person's trying to sell their course on whatever, filmmaking or course on triathlon or whatever. It's like, you have to establish like, that's what they're trying to sell. They're going to give me a whole bunch of good information in return for me watching their sales pitch. So
I find that there's a certain level of tolerance. Like, you'll let some of it slide, but if it gets past a certain point, then you're like,
I think you're exactly right about that. There's just like that whole piece where I've heard enough. You're just selling stuff, and that's and I even start to get that vibe with YouTubers that constantly have sponsored ads. I'm like, okay, like when you do a sponsored clip on video, like, I'm totally okay with it. Occasionally, it's when you do it every single, 3 or 4 times a week. It's like, this is a sponsored video. This is a sponsored video. It's just like constantly over and over again. I'm okay with the like quick little clips of, this is, I'm trying to think of a good example. A lot of those masterclass things or whatever that people talk about, they'll be like those little short clips. But when they have like sponsored videos where they're like, this is Polar Seltzer water, and this is what we're going to talk about today, and it's a sponsored video, and it's like constantly that kind of stuff where it is a sponsored video, they're getting paid to talk about a product, and that's what the entire video is about. There's no value there for me. So
I do find quite a few people out there that I really like that like to just give away information, teach and educate, and it's not always about the sponsorship or who's paying for what, where, when, how. And like a person that I really like, and he does a fair amount of sponsored stuff, and he does like talk about people that sponsor his channel, but it's more film and camera and techie kind of stuff. But that's Gerald Undone. Yeah, I like him a lot, and he's got a lot of information, and he'll just be like, "Hey, I got to pay a couple bills here for just a second," and then he gets right back to it when he does that stuff. But it's not often that stuff comes through. I feel like he's trying to shove something down my throat. It's more of like, I'm here, I get it, and my tolerances, you're well within my tolerances. Like, all right, tell me what you have to sell. And
I think he's going to read those spec lists. But he's going to be like, what's wrong about those? Like, that's his thing, is he's trying to figure out like, and that's great.
And even the sponsors that sponsor stuff, I'm like, all right, he uses that stuff. He likes it, and they're paying him. So it's like a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So it's another bit of information, another layer of information. And there are other people that transcend other genres of YouTube reviews that I will have that certain tolerance for. There are definitely people out there like, all right, I can't take this anymore. Unsubscribe. Don't show me that channel anymore.
Yeah.
It just happens. So how about you, Lance? You still there?
I am still here. I'm more on-screen talent than really digging into all that other stuff, I guess. I do know that if somebody doesn't seem sincere or doesn't seem like, or they really are just trying to hawk something, you can kind of see right through that. And I steer away from that right away if that's the case.
Gotcha.
But
Lance,
I mean, everybody's on YouTube to sell something.
Yeah.
They're selling something, either trying to get subscribers to be able to monetize it so that they can turn a hobby into another source of income, or they're trying to sell a specific product, or they're trying to sell, people to buy into a sport or a belief or an idea that they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Lance, do you like Vegan Cyclist?
Yeah, I do.
And a lot of it's because like his personality is good, right?
Yeah, he's funny and he's real. He says,
very
"I
real.
suck today, and this is why I suck today." And I'm a 35-year-old dad who really should be on the downhill slide of my athletic career, and for some reason, this last week I felt fantastic. And he's funny,
Yeah, I think that's the key. Is he's very easy to watch and just hang out with, right? Where it's like you almost feel like you have this connection with a real person.
Yeah.
And I definitely think
Right.
a lot of reviews lack that.
For sure.
It's something I need to work on for sure.
What about GCN? You guys like GCN? Do you guys feel like that's a little overproduced? Do you feel like that's a little too much shoving product down your throat, or what do you think?
I do feel like it's a bit overproduced for me personally. Like I think that they make great content. They make a lot of content. I don't watch it, to be honest, because it's not that. I mean, I don't have that emotional connection to it.
Yeah.
But I do think that like they're gonna do they do a good job with certain things. Like I think they do a great job with like their news shows and things like that, and making it fun. When they don't necessarily do a product review as much, because they will do like basically a sponsored ad, and they do a decent job of disclosing that it's a sponsored ad when they do things like that. But yeah, then they're basically just reading a spec list when they do those.
Yeah.
So not that interesting to me. But then you start to get attached to some of the personalities, and there's certain personalities on their shows that I do like. Like Simon is one of their guys, like one of their people. I think he's hilarious. He's fun.
Yep.
And Dan, I think, is like the other guy that kind of started the show. Like those guys that kind of started the show, I really like. And then they start bringing in other, other folks onto the thing, and I'm not quite as attached to them. So it's easier for me to just be like, I'm good. I don't need to watch these, these particular videos anymore.
Yeah, I don't find myself going and watching everything, but I always find myself coming back and watching one every now and then, just because something will pop up and the thumbnail catches your attention, or it's a good title, and you're like, oh, I'm going to watch that. I need a little break from whenever I'm watching on the YouTubes, but yeah. What do you think about those guys, Lance?
I don't watch them very often. I am a subscriber because they do have some content that I think is interesting occasionally, but yeah, I guess but I don't watch them that often.
How many channels do you think that you subscribe to on YouTube?
30.
Okay.
I'm probably about the same.
Oh my gosh. I'm like 200.
Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah, I subscribe to a bunch of them, and I just got kind of tired of some of them. And I just I never watch you. I will start watching your video, and it's not that it's bad. It's just like I'm not connecting with you, so I'll unsubscribe, and I'll just look. Like sometimes stuff will pop back up from them, and I'll check back in every now and then. If it's a good product and maybe I'm searching for that, I'll watch their stuff.
Yeah,
but
I need to thin the herd for sure. It's bad. And they're all like different things. It's like camera stuff, triathlon stuff,
Let's say a video comes up that's like, oh, this could be a good video. I'm going to watch this. The thumbnail looks good and everything, but you see a bunch of dislikes. Do you still watch it, or you carry on because your time's too valuable?
I don't think I've ever noticed
the
dislike number that much. I mean, I guess the stuff that pops up never really has that many dislikes. It's usually get like 1%
Yeah.
dislike just randomly.
Yeah,
but
I don't necessarily find it with people that I subscribe to,
Yeah.
but if I'm searching for a particular topic or a how-to or something like that, then I will see quite a few
Yeah.
dislikes. I'm like, yeah, pass, moving on to the next one.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
that,
Yeah, I've always told people.
I don't even look at those.
Yeah, I've always told people, like, if you hit the dislike button, it really doesn't matter. That means maybe my content is not going to show up in your feed as much.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's a lot of, like, don't think that you're hurting someone, by putting the dislike. You're giving them a view anyway.
Yeah.
By going into their channel and then clicking on the dislike. It's probably not going to show up as much for you in the future, but I don't think it really hurts your channel. So
cool. All right, so what makes a good review? Let's talk about let's talk about what kind of makes a good review for you guys. What are you looking for? What kind of information are you wanting to be delivered to you?
I want to know the key or unique features of whatever product it is.
Yeah.
Their personal experience with it, what they were expecting to have from that product, and whether that the product met those personal experiences.
Yeah, I'd say,
and it better be funny.
I'd say same thing. It's all about learning for me. It's like, ooh, this is something I don't know about, and like, give me the details on this thing. Like, it'd be great if it was like someone that I trust telling me the details on this particular product, right? Where it's like, maybe it's a heart rate monitor. What's different about this one? What's new about it? Like, is it hard to connect to? All these things, like, what makes this different and worth talking about? So
yeah,
that's definitely the stuff that I am interested in watching with product reviews. And I could just go to Garmin and get the spec list or something like that, but I'd rather have someone that I trust tell me the details.
Yeah.
So
stuff on paper looks good.
Yeah.
It doesn't always pan out that way. And there's a lot of stuff about like Garmin in general. Like, I love Garmin, and I've said that for a long time, but there's certain things that on paper, it just doesn't pan out. They'll say that this is this and this is what it does, and you use it and you're like, yeah, that's a bunch of hooey. That just doesn't check out. Like, you don't know that this is really happening. You don't have that kind of depth to your sensor. I mean, maybe get you in the ballpark, but it doesn't necessarily pan out. I'm not going to give specific examples, but that's just something that happens for me. How about you, Lance?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything to add there.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk about the process of creating a review. Matt's been doing this for a while now. He's been reviewing stuff, and it's I think he's got a little bit of a process. And in full disclosure, Matt stepped out to go potty. He's got to go to the bathroom, so he's in the bathroom right now. He'll be right back, so I'll have to reiterate this when he sits back down. But for you, Lance, do you have a process? I know you and I have done a few videos. We've reviewed some stuff. We're going to be doing even more over the course of time, and we'll just sit down and kind of compare notes before we do something. But have you started to maybe come up with something of a blueprint that you want to use for when we go through the review process, so it can be consistent and something we can replicate over and over again?
What I want to do is I want people to understand what the experience is like to begin to use a certain product.
Yes.
Jake and I, we're going to be reviewing cycling specific stuff. So what's it like to actually get this product? What is actually in the box when you get it? What's all there, and then what are my personal experiences with it?
Yeah.
The tricky thing is if we're going to film a review, I need to have that product in my hands on my bike for 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on what the product is, so that I can really get my ideas of, hey, this is what they claimed was going to be a cool feature on this product, and it actually was a cool feature, not, okay, they said it was going to be cool, and it actually kind of blows. It's not helping me at all,
Yeah.
And,
so, Matt, we told everybody that you went to go potty. That you had to go use the bathroom, the little boys' room.
I'm drinking tons of this
polar seltzer water. Yeah. Plugging these guys. We're talking about, like, do you have a blueprint that you follow? Some sort of like a process that you follow for when you do your review process, that you try and check all of the boxes and kind of go from point A to point Z and cover everything and keep it somewhat consistent?
I don't have a blueprint or anything like that, and I don't try to keep it consistent because I don't think that's a bad idea, actually, because I could speed up your process, which I think is huge for us that we want to put out videos.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are things that I think are kind of typical, where I will almost always like weigh a product myself and compare it to like the manufactured, specs or whatever. And I'll always, just, measure the product, and I will try to at least test whatever the big feature is. Lance just mentioned that, 2 or 3 weeks with a product using will really give you a good idea. Some of the times you get a product with like 2 or 3 days, and they're like, this is when the product is. So you get this pre-release product, and they're saying like, the embargo date is this, so you can go live with a video on this particular date, and you don't have 2 or 3 weeks to test it. You only have a couple of days, and you do, for the views, you do want to be right there on that like date of
release cycle
of the release. And so that's a tough thing, because maybe you're doing your viewers a disservice, right? Because you're saying like, I've only been with this whatever bike computer for 2 or 3 days, and here I am trying to tell you about it. And so you're not going to do as good of a job.
Yeah,
as
what
you
you do, and a lot of other people do as well, that I quite respect, and I think that it's a good thing, is like, you're telling them like, hey, this isn't my full review. This is kind of an unboxing and my first initial response to like some of my first initial uses of said device. I'm going to follow this up with a full review, and then you'll even go a step beyond that for some of your more popular items. Is I'm going to do a 100-day review and tell you like really like an in-depth review of what I think of this.
Yeah,
So-
I like doing that. Like, here's what, this watch I've used for 100 days, and that's what I just released one with the Garmin Enduro, which is a ultra running watch, which has got a great battery life. It's an awesome watch. I really do like it. I use that thing a ton. I ended up using it for way more than 100 days, actually. I called it my 100-day review, but it's enough time that you've, beat it up a little bit. Right? And so how is it going to take a beating? Things like that I think are important, because these people are going to use this watch for 2 or 3 years. And so it's still hard to say if that's enough time, because maybe there's never enough time. How does this watch hold up after 5 years? I don't know. Probably not great. But, I think it's good. I think and again, that's all trying to clickbait people, right? Like, I want them to click on my videos and skip over Lance's review of the Garmin Enduro. So I want my review to say like, this review after 100 days, because they'll look at that and click it, So that's why I do it. And I think after 100 days is a good block of time to kind of see like, okay, or you could do 100 miles, or you could do any sort of metric like that.
So DC will go through and he'll break down every last stinking feature. And I don't necessarily need all that, because I'm not going to use all that stuff. But I'm not everybody, so everybody's going to come at these devices with a different approach. So that's a good thing that he does that. And I for my review process, though, that's where I kind of have a hard time, because I don't want to review parts and pieces of it that I'm never going to use. I'm like, so it's like really more about my practical use and application and things that I find necessary. But maybe here's a couple other things, like maybe not the 50 other things, but here's 3 or 4 other things that are intriguing to me. Is that going to turn you off as a viewer, that I'm not digging into the whole thing?
So I think what people should realize is that these are, there are other people that are going to review these things, and you're at Jake's, channel, and you're looking at his impression of this product, and here's how he used this product. And I think that's important, is everyone's going to use these products differently. I'm not going to use every single feature on my Garmin watch. It's kind of a triathlon channel. You kind of know what you're going to get. You're going to get swim, bike, run stuff. And so Jake might use this product completely different. Like, that's why his video is still fantastic. And that's why, you have these different channels that have different products. So I think it's good to not go over every single item, because it would be a very long, boring video, and kind of really hit on the stuff that's important to you. At the same time, you're still trying to attract viewers, and your viewers are just vastly different. You've got people that are like, only care about the mountain bike features. Other viewers that don't give a flip about mountain biking at all. Like, how is this going to work for time trialing? That's all I care about. And you do want to, mention enough information for both of those viewers, because you want as broad an audience as possible, sort of. So I think it's tough. I mean, I think it's tricky to manage that, like, give every single detail about a product, or do you just try and highlight the stuff that's kind of important to you? To be honest, like, I think that the mountain biking features that I talk about on the 530 aren't that important to me. I use them. I switch it into mountain biking mode when I go on my mountain bike, but like, it's not that big of a deal to me. But I mention it because it's a differentiator between that and the video that's coming up soon is going to be like 530 versus the Bolt version 2. And it's like, that's going to be a differentiator. Like that's a big piece. If you do mountain biking, you might want to pick the 530.
Yep.
But, you know, again, is that super important to me personally? I don't know, you know, but it's definitely something that I'm going to mention in the video.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Any input on this, Lance?
No, I think Matt nailed it on the head there.
Gotcha. All right, here's another part. The video comes out. It's a good video, and it's got tons of views, but it's also got a bunch of comments. Do you dig into the comments and go read and see, kind of just to get a little bit of a consensus? Because you're going to get people in there that are going to, like, you know, be a little snarky, or they're going to say stuff to just say stuff, or they might be a little bit of a homer. But some people will give you some good, practical, real feedback. And like the last video that Lance and I put out, my gosh, there's a lot of people that turn my head on a bunch of things. Like, I didn't think about that. Or, you know what, that device that everybody keeps talking about to compare it to, maybe that's something we need to look into. Like the Hammerhead. Yeah. That thing is like getting a lot of good positive feedback.
Have you reached out to them?
No, not yet. And that's
reached
on
out
the
to
list.
them. I can't get,
really?
I want to review that product and I can't seem to get a hold of it. I'll try again or something,
but that's a place where, like, if you know how to quickly, like, kind of sift through all of the garbage in there, and there is a lot of garbage that people will post up there, but you can get some good, honest feedback. You know, that's a good place to go. And these are people that are going to have experiences like, I didn't even think about that. Now I need to go try that, use that, test it out, and see how it actually works, and add that into my whole, like, paradigm.
The comment section in my videos are so good. They are. It's amazing. Like, even like my Tour de France picks, they're like, oh yeah, Cavendish is going to do great. He's going to win. He's going to be in green. And I'm like, whoa, no way. But they know way more, you know, about whatever it is that they're specifically interested in than us. And it's great to have those details in there. And so I pretty much read every single comment. I have a hard time with the negative ones, but I'm like, try to be cool. Don't throw this. Sometimes I don't remember one that was like, I don't know if it was like yesterday or the day before, and they were talking about some old video, and they're like, why do you talk with your, it was like something funny, like, this guy talks with his hands way too much, and I don't know, it was something negative. And I sent a clip of Ricky Bobby, and there's like a part in the what's the name of that movie with Ricky Bobby? Like it's not Days of Thunder.
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights.
That's it.
And there's this part where he's being interviewed, and he's like, "What do I do with my hands?" And he's like, "Oh, just put them by your side." And in the video, he's just like, like his hands kind of like come up into the clip. Super awkward. I love it, but it was. You know, it's hard to deal with the negative comments for sure.
It's amazing
they're
what
not fun.
Some people will do. Like the time that they will take to go write something that's like just being a little bit of an a-hole or snarky or whatnot. It's like, really, you took the time to write that? How's that productive?
And
but
my impression is that they don't think that you're going to read it. They're trying to be snarky and funny to the rest of the people watching them.
Sure.
But like those comments get buried. Like most of the people that are watching our videos are like fans or like friends or whatever. And they like our video. Your snarky comment's probably not going to go that far. Yeah. So
that's funny. All right. Real quick, just on the establishing the process. For me, it's like about creating baselines and being able to consistently provide like a consistent review. And, you know, basically it's more about like what my expectations and hopes were for said product and making sure that it kind of covers those bases. And then just spend a fair amount of time with the product, kind of like Matt just said and Lance just said. And I really like to try to talk to other people. I'm in a fortunate position where there's a lot of people that come through the doors here that I can say, hey, what did you think of fill in the blank item? And they'll give me good feedback. And like the Bolt version 2. Yeah. That's been super well received. I've probably put about 30 of those things out into the wild, and I'm starting to get some reports back of people that have actually used them, and they're giving me some good and they're giving me some bad, and that's good stuff that I can share with other people. So
that product, it seems like it's having some software issues and things like that, and so it's still hard for me to like nail down all the details, but like people in the comment section do a great job of telling you like, you know, what's wrong and what problems they're having, and sometimes you're not having the same problems they are with the product, so it's tricky, but you know, I know that product's at least moving well. Yeah. So.
And then the last thing is I try not to get too influenced or jaded on something or swayed by other reviews when we're talking about like stuff that we're putting out there. So I don't want to go watch all of the other reviewers and fall into that trap of like, I'm going to say the same thing that they're saying. I want to just kind of give a clean, fresh feedback, a bit of feedback to these folks. And I'm hoping that's something that comes out and plays well.
It's tricky because like I watch your video and I'm influenced by you guys. I'm like, well, that's a good point. those guys did,
Yeah.
they're talking about like trail forks. I'm like, yeah, I got to mention that. 'Cause I got that straight from your guys' video. I'm like, this is important to these guys.
Yep.
Like that's
But
going to influence
that's
the way.
perfectly fine. Like if
Right.
I were to do that, and I say, and I think we even like talked about you in a video that maybe we have in the can or some other video that we put up. Like our friend over at the Matt Legrand over at his channel, he talked about this, and this is what that's, and we totally agree with him. You know, that kind of stuff. Like it's just
Yeah, or not. You can, like you see this and you're like, nope, these guys are wrong about whatever.
they're wrong about the swimming and the running part.
Yes,
So.
definitely.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So the last part are let's just throw out some good channels for cycling and triathlon, so people can maybe go and check these things out for products or things that fall into those categories. What are some good channels that you really like?
For product reviews, I really do think people should follow DC Rainmaker. I think he does a great job. He's thorough. He does excellent work. The other channel that they may not follow, it would be Des Fit. He has a nice channel. And honestly, he does a very thorough job on all of his reviews. I really like the way they come together. They're well filmed. They're well just taken care of. There are other channels as well. There's an ultra runner named Dave who does a channel called Chase the Summit. It's really fantastic if you're kind of more on the running side, but he does watches and things like that as well. And he is just cranking out really good content. And then the hat that I'm wearing today is from a channel called Smart Trainers, smarttrainers.com. He has a website and a YouTube channel. And Tarek is the guy's name that puts that one on. If you're interested in like indoor riding, he will cover all of those topics, like all the indoor bike trainers, all the like indoor software for, doing stuff. He does a thorough job. Like that's where I would go for any sort of indoor cycling information.
Sure.
And these are all people that I've chatted with. They're all amazing, just like human beings. And it's just impressive to see how much stuff they can put out in a small amount of time.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had him on here before. Triathlon Terran, is he still putting out a lot of stuff?
He is, absolutely. He puts out a couple pieces per week. He's actually moving from somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Canada, all the way out to like Vancouver Island. So he's moving. He's moving across the country.
Okay.
And I just watched something where he was reviewing some Canyon bikes, basically saying like, here's the new Speed Max and the old Speed Max. You can still get the old Speed Max, go for it. You'll save money. And I think that's a good point, right? Where it's like, we're all looking for the top super bike, but guess what? Like you can get a bike for $1,000 less and it'll still be a fantastic option for you.
Sure.
You might not have all the bells and whistles or whatever. Like sometimes you go for the Ultegra instead of the Dura Ace, but it will save you money. And I think Taryn did a good job with that video recently. It might have been like today that he posted that one. He doesn't typically do a ton of product reviews necessarily. He talks about all kinds of crazy stuff, but he's out there.
Cool. Lance, what about you? Do you have any favorites that you want to share?
Yeah, as far as product reviews go for cycling, obviously DC Rainmaker, but another guy named Shane Miller, the GP Llama.
I love that guy. Yeah.
I still think it's funny.
Guy.
Do you remember the time that Evan was talking about some guy like GP Llama, like favors, followed me on Zwift and gave me a thumbs up, and we're like, well, really? He had no idea who he was.
It's like a big deal.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
So he does good stuff. He does good reviews. They're pretty thorough. He's entertaining. He's Australian, so the accent is fun to listen to.
Yeah.
So I like his stuff.
Yeah, he's a good person for sure.
As far as like training content, Dylan Johnson has great information. I do listen to Trainer Road. Their YouTube channel has a lot of good information. And then as far as like race strategy, it's NorCal Cycling.
Yep.
He's great. And then Nation's #1 Beast. He is also, if you want to watch good crit racing stuff, that is one of the Williams brothers, Corey Williams channel. And so those are a few that I'm hooked on. And then a bunch of mountain bike stuff.
Yeah.
Mountain bikers like Jeff Lenotsky, he's got a fantastic mountain bike channel about tips and tricks and skills and trails and whatnot. So those are Those are good guys, too.
Do you watch the Global Cycling Network's mountain bike channel? It's like GMT or something. I don't.
I do subscribe to it, but I don't watch their videos very often. No.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'll watch their stuff, like I said
Yeah.
before, every so often. And if it comes up, if I'm looking for a product review and they come
Right.
up, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I won't watch everything because they put out so much content.
Yeah,
So
they do.
it's just like it's too much to watch, but
Yeah.
it's always out there. So, I mean, they're doing a good job. They've got a big subscriber base, so good on them. Cam Nichols, have you guys listened to him before?
Yep.
Down in Australia, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. He's a good dude. I like what he's doing. He seems like a good family man, seems honest and trustworthy, good information. Park Tool is kind of quirky sometimes, but sometimes it's like I don't know. A
I
little bit
like their
refreshing.
stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just good information, and I find myself going there because I have a lot of Park Tool stuff,
And they're
there's-
kind of the experts
Yeah.
on like the right way to do something.
absolutely. So
yeah.
I do that. There's another guy that's actually up in Seattle. It's called The Lost Company. He's kind of like just like the shredder dude that goes
Yeah.
out and just mountain biking kind of stuff, and he has a mountain bike shop, and he rides a lot, so he kind of
Cool.
he uses the stuff that he's kind of talking about and does a good job of reviewing it. I like him a lot. We've talked about the vegan cyclist is good.
Yeah.
Our friend Matt Legrand.
Yeah, you guys.
Nobody's
you
talked
didn't
about
even
Matt
mention
Legrand.
me. That's it's disappointing. Lance, I thought you would for sure call me out.
I blew it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out Matt's channel though, because it's good quality stuff.
In the
So,
Dialed
Good.
Cycling Lab.
there's
in
a
the
couple,
dial, in the
couple things
Dialed
on there.
Endurance Lab.
Yep.
There's a lot of good channels out there.
Evan
guys.
does an awesome job, by the way. Like
He's great.
he's just
on
the
camera.
talent. He's just the talent, but he's just a one and done kind of guy. It's like he's like, "Hey Jake, can you do a video for me?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." And what's nice about
Nails
him,
it first take.
it's all first take. We don't have to do anything. Just have to like cut out a couple little blips here and there, but it's easy to edit. So
I
Evan does a good
have
job.
I have quite a few videos that I want to make with Evan in the future, just because he's got a lot of information and some fun stuff too, like just to do some goofy, funny things.
Yeah, that should be fun. Cool. All right, let's jump into one last thing here real quick and wrap this thing up. Matt, do you want to start us off?
Hopefully, I'll have a video. Okay, so I mentioned the Garmin Enduro video. I am giving that watch away. It's a nice watch. I think it's like $800 or maybe $900 watch or something. It's excellent. It's one of my favorite watches that I've ever tested on my channel, just because the battery life is so good. I'm giving away on my channel, so you should hop over there and comment below the video so that you can be entered to win. I would love for someone from the Dialed Cycling podcast crew to, not the crew that's on the podcast, but the listeners to actually
audience, yep.
win this thing.
Yeah.
Because that would be great. And then I'm going to try to get out like a kind of experience a triathlon kind of video.
Yeah.
And so that would potentially come out this week if I can put it together and if I have enough footage from the race itself to make that happen. So
Okay.
that's a goal. See what we can do.
Fun.
And then I'm off to California next week.
Oh, you
One
are?
last thing.
Are you going to be here next week for the podcast?
No, I'll
No?
be in Sacramento by the time the
Sac Town.
podcast starts. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Right on. All right, Lance, one last thing.
I'm headed for Matt Legrand's motherland. I'm going to
Yes.
drive through that state as fast as possible.
What? you need to loiter.
There's no loitering happening in Alabama. I don't know where I'm headed.
What is
but
Alabama?
yeah, I won't
What are
be-
they famous for in Alabama, Matt?
Everything.
Besides like a Crimson Tide football team.
Cotton and
Cotton?
Crimson Tide football. We've got where I grew up. We got the Space and Rocket Center where they actually built a lot of the rockets that went to the moon. You've got Birmingham, who they did a lot of like iron work and
Okay.
stuff like that.
What are they doing now? Nothing. Just kind of chilling.
It's a big city. They have a huge like medical facility there. There's just lots of businesses, banks, and all the normal stuff. Accounting firms, big business,
Big time triathletes there.
big time triathletes in Alabama.
Just big triathletes.
You've definitely got some big triathletes in Alabama. Yes.
Gotcha. I'm still going to pay Lance $10 for an interview at a local mini mart or something like
Yes.
that to talk about the world famous Matt Legrand and his 1997
wait a
state
minute.
championship.
You don't know him? Like you should act super surprised when they're like, "I have no idea who you're talking about. What are you talking about, dude?"
Awesome.
I hope they have a thick accent for you, Lance.
I love it.
What else, Lance?
That's it. I won't be here next week either. I'm going to be in Disney World with my whole family. So
Call in
when
from
we
Disney
record
World.
on Monday. I'll be busy.
You guys going to be around next Sunday
That's
night?
it.
I won't be. I'll be on the road.
Oh man, this is going to be an interesting podcast. It'll
We'll
be
figure
the
it
Jake
out.
show. I'm going to be here rambling, just talking to myself. Good times. My one last thing is made up of 3 things. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
my one last thing is I have 3 things.
Good.
So the first one is we're going to try and put out a Pirelli tire review here pretty soon. I've got all of that stuff lined up, and
I'm
I was
excited about that one.
wanting to work on it this past weekend, but I legitimately worked 20 hours on Saturday and Sunday to basically support 2 different races. So time kind of like was fleeting and gone there.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is I don't want to spoil the video. What's one negative thing about the tires?
It smells like rubber.
It's got a smell to it.
It smells like rubber.
Okay.
Got to watch the video, man.
All right. I'm excited to watch this one.
And then this Saturday is the RAC. It's the Ride Around Clark
I didn't
County.
even know that.
Yeah, we just posted up on Strava for anybody that wants to come out and join
I used to
the
do that
Dialed
every year.
guys. Now, they're not doing a 100-mile version. There's no Century this year.
What?
They've only got a metric Century, and then they've got a 34-mile route as well. So that is because they weren't able to kind of pull everything together, and they wanted to be able to, because of like COVID-related stuff, and they weren't sure that they were going to be able to even have volunteers and all that other stuff. So what they were able to pull together was a 60-mile route or 61, and then a 32-mile or something like that route. So some of us are actually looking at going out early, riding as early as we possibly can, and going out and blasting around the 30-mile course, coming back to the start, and then doing the 60-mile, and then add a few extra miles in there to get the Century. So we'll sweep the 60-mile route so that we can help anybody that might need some help, and then we'll just go like put our noses to the wind and go hard.
So that Saturday is I might have some time in the morning,
Sure.
but then we're getting on the road to go to California. So
You're driving down.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you could go out and do the 30-mile route. It's just
I
they're
do that.
starting where they normally start, I think, and somewhere in Vancouver, and they're going to go do a lap around.
But I'll probably
Lapis
just
Lake
go
and-
right from my house and hop on the course.
There you
and-
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
Do
Just go out
something.
there and say hi.
Yeah.
Get some video. And then my last thing
Okay.
is if I'm not here next week, it's because I died doing a bike race tonight at PIR.
Ooh.
I'm going to go race my
bike
bicycle tonight. So I'm trying to tear off the Band-Aid. I'm trying to keep the rubber side down. I'm trying to kind of get over this whole, like, I don't want to race bikes right now because I'm afraid of hurting my shoulder. But I am super stoked to go out there tonight to race bikes because we're going to have a lot of teammates in this field. So
I think when you're in it, you're going to be fine.
I'll be fine. Yeah, 100%. But it doesn't help, though, when I've got a teammate from last week sending me a video of the person that caused a 3 or 4 person pileup crash right
No
in
sending
front of
no
him.
sending Jake scary videos.
So, yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. But I think the goal is just to kind of spend as much time off the front as we possibly can to keep all the riffraff behind us. We're going to have 11 guys in this in the race that we're doing tonight.
That'll be fun.
That's going to be a
It's gonna
blast.
be good people.
So it should be fun to see
I'm
how
excited to hear about it.
the team how it kind of pulls things together when we come up with this in terms of a plan. So I think that's it. You guys have anything else you want to add to this?
That's it. Thanks for listening, guys.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, thank you for listening. We will catch you next week, hopefully, and give you another fun dial podcast. 179. So
Wow.
200 here. So, but anyway, appreciate you listening. We will see you next week. Bye for now.